appreciated best from its apex.
Salam alaikum, vanakkam, namaskar, sat sri akal, and namaste, everybody.
This year has been all about reaching milestones, and once again we have reached another milestone by debuting into the world of podcasting with Zencast.
Zenith is Leelavati Baipadar High School's cultural and sports fest. It is India's biggest inter-school fest, and Zenith is conducting its 14th edition this year, and it's all set to cause a lasting impression as always.
Your hosts for today are I, Sara Dharwadkar, Chairperson of Zenith 2021.
And I, Pranavi Menon, the Vice Chairperson for Zenith 2021. You know, as a student who has been participating for the past 3 years in Zenith, I can't help but agree to the fact that Zenith has become a part of my life, and it just keeps getting better every single year.
I agree, and I can't imagine the first thing I think of when I think of Zenith is our school. Right?
Yes, and when you think of school, the first person you think of is our beloved principal, Mrs. Sheila Alexander. So I think it's only fitting to call her upon as our first special guest for our podcast. So without much further ado, greetings, ma'am. We are really excited to have you with us today.
Thank you, Sarah, and thank you, Pranavi. It is my pleasure to be with you this morning.
Thank you so much. But I think it is extremely essential to have a full-on introduction for you. Our principal, Mrs. Sheila Alexander, personifies Emerson's words in every aspect of her life. Although she has been associated with Leelavati Baipadar for the last decade and a half, she has had an illustrious career spanning for almost 3 decades of teaching. Mrs. Alexander has always believed in carving out a new path in all of the things she undertakes, rather than follow the well-trodden path. Her innovative approach to the activities she undertakes, her inspiring creativity and boundless imagination has ensured that all projects she undertakes have been a resounding success.
Mrs. Sheila Alexander firmly believes in embracing diversity and allowing both the teachers and students to explore their true potential with a wide range of programs and activities that she creates for them. And Zenith is one of them. A true academic at her core, she believes that all children must develop a deep-seated love for learning, and that learning must not be a chore a child has to undertake. A perfectionist with strong moral values and exceptional administrative skills, she is highly regarded for her humane approach to situations as well as in her interactions with people.
Always on board with changing educational approaches and new teaching pedagogies, Mrs. Alexander adapted to the use of technology in teaching with ease and is a staunch believer in marrying technology with teaching in order to provide the best possible learning experiences to all students.
This podcast is an informal dialogue between us, the hosts of Zencast, and our principal ma'am, where we'll be discussing several topics with none other than the best, our principal ma'am.
I think I must ask before we start off, how are you feeling today? This is our first podcast we're ever trying out and venturing into a completely different world.
You caught me right there, Pranavi. Yes, nervous I am. So go ahead and shoot the questions.
So the first question we have is, we have always seen you as a passionate leader, a person full of nothing but positivity. We want to know your secret of the daily routine which helps you stay so energetic and up for any challenge that comes your way.
I must say that there is a lot of discipline in my life. I go to bed very early, I get up very early. And most importantly is that I practice yoga. It has been a part of my life for a very long time. And it has given me this added advantage of training my own mind and knowing myself.
That is beautiful. As a yoga student of last year, I relate to that completely. Having that subject for 2 years really changed my perspective towards life.
Sure it does.
Since we are currently living in a world where our lives are constantly changing, it's easy to feel overwhelmed. We would like to ask you that when you feel overwhelmed or unfocused or have lost your focus temporarily, what do you do, ma'am?
Oh yes, it has happened quite a few times, and so I just take off from that muddled state of mind and I try to be with myself, analyze the situation, look at it from a new perspective, bring about a new adaptation to a confused state, and pick up the threads from there.
That's really inspirational, ma'am. I think it's really valuable advice for all of our students, especially in these times. So thank you so much for that.
Thinking of advices, I think we all like to get validated and receive compliments, whether be it from
Sure
teachers,
do.
friends, parents, and they always stick to us. Some of them just always stick to us. So what is one of the best compliments you've ever received?
I think it was very recently when the ISC hosted Crescendo, and our management was part of the program, and he wrote a text to me which I like to read. Very impressed by all the talent oozing out of LPHS, and especially proud that the staff under your leadership are ready to put the students front and center to organize, curate, and execute events like these. I think that was
My heart.
so superb.
That just warms my heart, even as a student body. It really is a sort of validation that we all try for.
Moving on to our next question. Talking about our recent times where we all have dealt with the pandemic in vastly different ways, we would like to know on how you and your institution coped with the COVID-19.
Sarah and Pranavi, there's a very beautiful saying that you sweat in practice so that you don't bleed in war.
Yes.
And I think that is exactly that happened to Leelavati Baipodar. We were one of the best ICT-enabled schools. We were the first to take up the mobile teaching project. Very grateful to our management for that. Our teachers were skilled. They knew loads and loads of new techniques to handle a classroom. We were a GAF school much before people even thought they could get there. So moving from an offline setup to an online setup couldn't have been a more smoother transition because we were already there. So I think that is the biggest advantage that Leelavati Baipodar had. I mean, even before the national lockdown, if I remember right, we took off online.
As a student of Podar, I can vouch for the fact that we've been familiar, even as students, we've been familiarized with technology and we're very well versed with it long before any of our peers from other schools. So.
Indeed. And, well, you have been such an inspirational figure to all of us, and you have brought so many changes good in our school and in our students. And I have to ask, my curiosity cannot get the better of me, but if you could have a coffee with any historical figure, who would you choose and why?
Now, that's a pretty tough one, but looking very recently when I watched this 22-year-old Black American, Amanda Gorman, take the stage at President Biden's inauguration, I was truly enamored. It takes a lot of courage, leave alone to rebel, but to even speak up. And I thought through the poem, The Hill We Climb, she spoke so much, and definitely she would be my choice.
That is a brilliant choice, actually. Now I have to think upon my historical figures who I want to drink coffee with. I think now we can go ahead with some fun.
We now have a ZRF round.
ZRF? What's that?
Yeah, Pranavi, ZRF, the Zenith Rapid Fire round.
Makes sense. So, in this round, we will be asking you some random questions, and let's see how quick on your feet you are.
Keep it simple.
Okay.
We will try now.
So, let's start with a simple one. Describe yourself in 3 words.
Compassionate, a workaholic, and family-oriented.
Okay.
Workaholic and family oriented. I think that's really impressive. Ma'am, who do you admire?
I'm sure it will be none other than Oprah Winfrey
Yes.
for the life that she has led and the person that she is today.
Indeed. Now, very random one. How many keys do you have in your keychain?
Woo. That should be 4.
Okay, that's light.
Ma'am, what is your favorite summer activity?
I do think that I'm very therapeutic, so gardening for me is one.
I love that. Are you green thumb?
I do have.
Oh wow. And then what are your 2 things that you would love to put on your bucket list?
For sure, it is to drive. And secondly, I wouldn't mind trying my luck at snorkeling.
Okay. Wow, that's nice. Ma'am, if you could go anywhere in the world, where would you go and why?
Because I'm very spiritual, I think undoubtedly I would select the Vatican City. And I've had a book on the Vatican, and I'm so enamored by the paintings and the absolute marvels of architecture. So I want to see it in person.
I'm a fan of architecture too, ma'am, so it really makes
Maybe
me
we
happy.
could go together.
Definitely.
Then next question, ma'am, are you a morning person or a night one?
Mostly a morning person, undoubtedly a morning person. I wake up very early.
I think it's a very good habit, ma'am, and I've been trying to incorporate it in my own schedule as well. So, ma'am, what is the one thing that you have done that you're the most proud of?
I think I must say that I raised 2 very beautiful daughters.
That's so heartwarming.
As daughters, we love to hear that.
Sure.
Then again, curiosity. What's your favorite hobby?
Again, I think it would be gardening
Okay.
because I love that very much, and I like to see greenery in and around the house as well. My office is full of it as well.
Yes. Ma'am, so what would you prefer, mountains or the beach?
None.
None.
I think ma'am would prefer snow.
Then, if you had to choose between staying in a hotel or a bed and breakfast, which one would you
Definitely a
choose?
hotel.
Ooh.
Ma'am, homemade food or restaurant buffets?
Homemade food.
Always.
Always. And I choose homemade food because I think I'm privileged and blessed to have a mother who still cooks for me.
That is so sweet. That is so. Okay, so ma'am has done amazing in this rapid fire round, I think.
Yeah.
So I think should we revert back to our
I think we should.
definitely. So
So-
our first question to you, ma'am, would be if there was the world's biggest billboard reaching out to millions of people and you get a chance to write something on it, what would it be?
Because this is going to be viewed by a lot of people, I would definitely want to put up that very simple quote of Mother Teresa where she said, "In life, there are very few opportunities to do great things, but there are many opportunities to do small things with great love."
Wow. I think that would solve all of our world's problems.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
I'd love to see that on a billboard. And coming back to life and your career, I think we're all well aware and of how complex and prestigious a job of a principal is. What is a common myth about your job that people you meet often have?
Quite a few there, Pranavi, but I think the one thing that gets attached with you with that title of being principal is that you're no more approachable, and I think that's a folly.
I would like to disagree, ma'am, because I've always found you approachable. I
Exactly,
think
that's what I'm
the
saying. That's what I meant to
environment
say. Like, people think that you can approach a principal, but no, it's not so.
That's true. So, another follow-up question. What other occupation would you have liked to pursue if you would not be here?
It's really funny that you should ask me this because when I was growing up as a teenager, I always wanted to, be a radio jockey. And that enamored me so much because, I love voices. I like modulation in voices. So anything to lend my voice always attracted me. So maybe I could have done that.
I must say I would have logged on to your show no matter what. It would obviously be one of my favorites.
Okay, so ma'am, since you've been in the education industry for the longest time, what is the biggest difference that you've noticed in the structure of education between, let's say, 10 years ago and now?
There has been phenomenal changes, and I would think the first thing that comes to my mind when you ask me this is the attitude and the approach of parents and children towards education. Wanting to make it simpler, wanting to make it easier, and not taking it with that quest to gain knowledge. And for me particularly, I would say that for anything in life, hard work, persistence is important. So I feel that there is a huge change in the approach and the attitude towards education in today's times.
Definitely, ma'am, and I think our teachers definitely play a huge role in the same, because in Podar, it's always, my teachers have made me love every subject, so it never
So
felt like a
important.
chore.
So important.
Yes, ma'am. Also, ma'am, another question for you. You've been a teacher for a very long time, and what is the one thing that you miss about being a teacher?
Just being with the students, knowing them by their names, calling them out.
Oh. And again, since you've been in this industry for such a long time, you've been a part of Podar for such a long time, I must ask, I would love to know how Zenith came into place.
If you take it back, I think it was 2007. Correct me if I'm saying. I think it was 2007, and we started off Zenith as a commerce fest actually.
Oh.
That's the history there. And when it took off, yes, we had a few challenges, but we never gave up. And then we moved into making it a sports fest. It took off well there. Then we became, more ambitious, and we introduced culture into it. And then it became a cultural and a sports fest, and the rest is history.
Wow. That is a really epic start to this.
We didn't know that. And
Yeah.
it really makes me feel good. Okay.
Yes.
So, ma'am, what are the 3 songs, books, or films that you would like to recommend to our audience and which you personally love and adore?
So giving you 3 of each is going to be difficult. Maybe I could give you 1 of each.
Definitely,
Sure.
ma'am.
My all-time favorite book definitely is Ikigai. If you haven't read it, please do. It's a wonderful book. My all-time favorite movie is definitely Shawshank Redemption. Another classic there. And songs, I have quite a few. So if you have heard Dana Weiner's One Moment in Time,
Yes.
that's my favorite. And if you talk about Hindi songs, I love KK's Pal.
Oh, I love this. And I think that's where we come to an end with our podcast. I hope you all enjoyed this as much as we all did. Ma'am, did you enjoy this?
I thoroughly enjoyed it. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
And with that, I believe the first episode was an absolute success. So
Stay tuned for more.